Welcome back to My Body, My Jokes. Hello, it's me, it's Morgan. Thank you for supporting the pod. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. All of the fun announcements, all of the things. I don't have any announcements today. By the time you're watching this, the Sapphic Comedy Show will have already happened. As of today, it's sold out. The show is tomorrow, and it's sold out. And thank you. And I'm stoked about it. So hopefully on the next episode, I will be talking about how wonderful it was. But hopefully we'll be doing it again. If you want to see me in a burlesque show, I'll be in a burlesque show July 12th for Hard Candy Dance Studio. It's called Cosmic Cabaret, alien themed. Love that. We're all about the space theme here. But today I have a very special guest. All of my guests are special, but this one is extra cool and extra fabulous because I found her on Instagram, and I have been searching Instagram and searching Denver for influencers, models, fitness gurus, anyone that is kind of in a similar space to me. And my friend sent me your profile, and I'm so happy she did, because today I have Sage Storm, plus size model, jewelry and nail artist, and overall like alternative fashion queen. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
I really hope people are watching the video because you look so good.
Oh, thank you.
I'm obsessed with this outfit. It's so cool.
It was a lot of pressure. I was like, okay, it's a video recording. I have to look good.
No. I know. I always feel bad because like in podcasts now, it's almost like the norm to have video, which is so annoying because then it's like you have to do your makeup and you have to like look good, whereas it used to just be like, oh, I can just sit here and look like a rat and record my
I can be
voice.
a little gremlin just in my bedroom.
Yes. But I love your look. I love like the alt fashion. I was really excited when I saw your profile because it's nice to see someone that is not only like curvy queen fucking rocking it, but also like you have so many of your other own ventures that you're working on. So tell me a little bit about like who you are and like what you do in Denver.
Oh boy. I do so many things. So it's like, where do I
love that.
start?
She's booked and busy.
Yeah. I guess, obviously I do the modeling, which you kind of mentioned. That started maybe like a year and a half ago. It hasn't been that long.
Cool.
I had a designer friend who didn't make plus sizes, and I really wanted to support her fashion. I love her style. I wanted to rep it, but it didn't come in my size. And I had brought her a garment to like custom modify. Like I just wanted her flair on it. And while I was with her, I was like, hey, like, why don't you make plus sizes? Like, I've seen your runways, I've seen your collections, like what's going on here? And she was like, well, I don't really know any plus size models that can fit for me, that can walk for me, especially she has a really alternative aesthetic. And so she wants models who fit into that alternative aesthetic. And so that's kind of where I came in, where I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to let that continue to be an excuse. I'll learn how to model.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So I started with that, and was able to walk for her. And I just kind of used it as a way to like hold people accountable to inclusivity, and representation. I think it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've had so much fun along the way that I kind of just kept doing it.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah. So I started with runway, and then I've gotten into photo in the last like, year, I guess. Which is they're both challenging for different reasons, but runway is so fast, right?
Yes.
So you have like 30 seconds and you have like 2-3 poses and that's it. Versus photo, like you have to be constantly thinking about different ways to move your body, different ways to show or evoke emotion, different poses. Like, especially when I first started, I was like, God, like every single pose is the same. I'm so annoyed at myself. Like there's no variety.
Yeah.
So learning how to have more variety has been interesting. And yeah, like I got into Denver Fashion Week by accident.
No way.
So I do marketing also.
Okay.
And I work mainly with like art organizations.
Very cool.
So at the time I was doing marketing for Rhino Art District. And because Denver Fashion Week was in Rhino Art District, I offered to come to get content and post about it for the socials, right? And I was at the bridal night because I really wanted to see Bête Noir's first runway, who made my necklace that we were talking about before we started recording. And I really wanted to meet her. And so I had gotten press tickets for that night and during intermission, because at the time they had intermission, which they've done away with, thank goodness.
Yeah, intermission really has a way of killing the vibe of any show.
It was
doesn't it?
The shows were too long.
Yeah,
it was
can't.
like everyone was antsy. Everyone wanted to leave. It was like not fun. Yeah. But I'm grateful that there was intermission for this one because I was standing outside talking to some friends, and this person stops me, and she was just like, I'm so sorry, this might be really weird, but like you have a really amazing head shape.
Oh, okay.
And
love that.
I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. They're like, yeah, like not to be weird, like I'm a hairstylist. I'm actually,
cool. Okay.
yeah. They're like, I'm actually doing the hair show in a couple of days, like for Denver Fashion Week. And then she was looking at me and she was just like, why aren't you one of my models? And I was like, I mean, I can be.
Oh my God.
I do model.
Yes.
And so then I ended up opening her show like a few days later.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was how I got into Denver Fashion Week. I never actually auditioned.
Yeah.
I just kind of got thrown into it and then was able to go to the castings and, you know, people started to know who I was.
Yeah.
And
that's such a like old Hollywood like type of story, you know, where it's like the classic like, oh, you perform a few times and then some like guy comes up to you and he's like, I'm gonna make you a star, kid. You know what I mean? Like that's such a like dream scenario.
Yeah, and I got to meet Bette Noir that night too.
Yeah.
Her name's Alicia, the designer. And that's blossomed into a beautiful friendship. I've modeled for her a few times as well. And I'm walking for her on Thursday in the Society Night show. So I'm very excited.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that was like such a serendipitous night. Like so much happened for me then.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah. So I really am curious to know, because you're my first model to have on the pod, which is very exciting because I think modeling is one of those things that so many people are like, ugh, I could do that. Like we all watch America's Next Top Model. We all know how fucking toxic tyrant. Like we all have this idea of like what it is and how it works. So I'd love to know like a little bit about how modeling has influenced your relationship with your body. And then also the question I ask everyone on this podcast is, what is your current relationship with your body?
Yeah. How has it influenced my relationship? I think it honestly hasn't much because I'm very lucky. I think that I love my body so much.
Period. Period. I love that.
I'm like, I don't know how else to say that.
Yes.
I have not had like body confidence issues in like a really severe way in a very long time. And so
That's fucking awesome.
my very, very first runway was actually a lingerie and swimsuit show.
Yes.
So I kind of came out the gate swinging, you know, being half naked in front of a million people.
Yes.
Not a million people, but you know what I mean?
It feels like a million people.
Right. But yeah, I've always been, because I've been plus size my whole life. It wasn't like I was skinny and then gained weight. Like I've just always been big. And so I had to learn to love my body very young.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, I grew up I was a 90s baby, grew up in the early 2000s where diet culture was rampant and every, you know, heroin chic was the thing.
Yeah.
All the magazines had how to be skinnier, etc. But because those magazines never catered to me, they never represented me, I never consumed that media.
Good for you.
So it just like wasn't really a part of my like rhetoric.
Yeah.
And I just, because I've just always been big, you know, I started dating big. I started being sexual big. And so I just learned to love myself big, I guess.
Yeah.
And so modeling has only been really empowering because I get to be that representation for other people. I get people hitting me up all the time, just like, you know, thanking me. Or celebrating that I'm so confident and like teaching them to be confident. Because, you know, when you have that representation, you see yourself in somebody, you're like, okay, like if I think they're so beautiful, then I must be beautiful too.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like even when I shaved my head, which I did like 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I panicked immediately after I did it. And I was like, oh my God, I have a weird head shape, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's everyone's biggest fear. Everyone comes up to me and they're like, oh my God, I want to shave my head so bad, but I'm so scared that I have a weird head shape.
Yeah, because you really don't know until your hair's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I looked up Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta when she shaves her hair off.
Yes.
And I think she's so beautiful and I think she killed that look, you know? And she had the same ridges that I do. And I was like, okay, that's just the natural shape of someone's skull.
Yeah.
If she looks great, I look great. And so being able to be that for other people is,
Yeah.
great.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love that you're like so just honest and blunt about like I love my body. Like that's fucking great cuz it's so hard and it's weird that that's like an unpopular take in our society now because it's almost the norm to like kind of not like yourself or even to the point of like hating yourself, of constantly trying to change. So that's so refreshing to hear.
People have a really hard time understanding that I choose to stay plus size. I actually went through an extreme weight loss.
Oh, okay.
I used to be 300 pounds, and then I lost 70 pounds. So I was down to 230, and I was fitting into straight sizes for the first time in my life.
Wow.
And like, obviously like probably like an XL vibe, like a large,
but
extra
still,
large.
Like
but
you can find your size in the store.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because even as a kid, I couldn't do that. And I really didn't like it.
Really?
I didn't recognize myself anymore. And I couldn't trust that my interactions and relationships were authentic.
Ooh, wow. That is that part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Suddenly there was people coming out of the woodwork who I hadn't spoken to in forever, who were hitting on me. I was getting approached more when I was out. Going onto a plane, the way people looked at me was more inviting than terrified.
Yes.
Just like the world treated me so much better. And that broke my heart into a million pieces. That was so, I'm like getting emotional thinking about it.
No, it is emotional because it's like the reality of our society. It's fucked up.
Yeah. It was just, the world just treated me so much better, and I couldn't trust people. Like I was just constantly paranoid that people only wanted to get to know me for my appearance and not for my mind, not for my personality. And again, I just didn't recognize myself, and I also had to be so obsessively strict with my diet in order to stay that small because my body just didn't want to exist that small. And so I purposely gained back 20 pounds. I now maintain around 250 and I stay there, and I feel so good here,
Hell yeah.
And I still I work out. I'm really strong. I love to lift. But I choose to be this size because this is where I feel the most confident, the most beautiful, the most authentic, the most authentic in my relationships. It's just, but that breaks people's brains a lot when they hear that.
I love that you say that because I think that's part of the kind of like anti-diet world that a lot of people have a hard time understanding because I can't remember who I was talking to about this, but it was this exact conversation of like, I experienced a weight loss, I got to a place, and then all of a sudden like men started paying attention to me and women started complimenting me and everything changed. And the reaction to that is usually, well, yeah, of course they're going to do that. Like, now you're beautiful. Now you're hot. People want to compliment you. And I'm like, no, that's fucked up. Like, we should recognize that that's like not good. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a good thing that people are complimenting you. It's like, they're only doing that because that's what we've been taught to do. Yeah, I have like such a hard time explaining that because it's so disheartening. Like when at the beginning of my eating disorder, I was always like a curvy girl. Like I'm a Hispanic family. Like everyone has a curvy butt, curvy boot. You know what I mean? Like there was no way I was escaping those genes. And when I was 13, went through a big weight loss. And like at that age, you're so young. And like all of a sudden, everyone wanted to be my friend. I had never gotten attention from boys before, and they were all over me. And I was like, this is amazing. I've cracked the code. And it wasn't until I was probably in my late teens that I was like, oh, I don't think that's like right. I don't think that that's like the way we should be treating people, but it still persists.
Totally. 100%. Oh my God, I lost my train of thought. I had a really...
I do that all the time.
I had a really good point, and I just told you.
No, you'll think of it. You'll think of it. Let me ask you this. So, what does being a plus size model mean to you? We already kind of talked about how like you like being somewhat of like a role model, someone that can show people to love themselves, but specifically like when you think of the term plus size, what does that mean for you in your work?
I mean, it means representation. It means that every single body is deserves to be included in fashion, deserves to be seen in fashion. You know, we really struggle with most things just aren't made for us,
right.
you know, and a lot of styles that are trendy and popular like are not made for us. And brands assume that at a certain point, that size person isn't interested in even wearing that type of garment anymore, right? Like you think about like crop tops, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
I actually think that crop tops are such a more flattering cut on my body and most plus size bodies, because obviously we like to wear like high waisted clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it snatches the waist, and not to say that you know you have to snatch your waist. I personally like,
right. Yeah.
You know, but it's just a more flattering cut. And if designers don't see that we love wearing those things and that we look good in them, then they're not going to keep making them. And you know, I'm in like a Facebook group that's like a plus size goth inclusive kind of fashion group.
Yeah.
And I constantly see posts that are like, you know, I want to hide my tummy, but I love my waist and I don't understand how to dress given the garments that I'm supplied with.
Right.
And I'm always like, tuck your shirt in, wear like a circle skirt. Like if you know, if you want to hide your stomach a little bit, like, you know, like there's ways to fit and flatter your curves, and your shape and what you want to highlight and what you might want to minimize. And like, you know, while I obviously advocate for loving every part of your body, like it is okay to, you know, be a little shy about certain things.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the nature of being human, right?
Yeah.
In this society. But yeah, that might have gone off on a tangent from what the question was.
No, I like it because it's interesting to think about. I wanted to ask you like, what does or does it annoy you? I'll ask it this way. Like, does it annoy you to be under the umbrella of like plus size model versus just being called a model?
Yes and no. I think that the differentiation is important. So that designers are held accountable to having that diversity.
Yes.
Right? Because oftentimes, like, there aren't plus size models in a lineup, in a runway, or on a photo shoot, on a set. And so it's important for them to be reminded, like, hey, like, this needs to be particularly sought after. And that happens to me sometimes where, like, I'll get someone that reaches out and they're like, hey, like, I don't have a body type like yours in my collection and I need that. Like, you know, and I want to book you. I want you to be a part of this. And I really appreciate those people who are being mindful that they need, like, while I don't advocate necessarily for like checking boxes, and if we're being a more organic, natural inclusion of all people, sometimes you do have to, in order to hold yourself accountable, make sure that that box is checked, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. It's I think about it because of the term like female comedian, and it's like a lot of us are like, we'd rather just be called a comedian. But at the same time, as someone who I produce a lot of shows that are only like female, non-binary, queer comedians because I want to give us a platform. And it's like the same thing where it's like, it kind of annoys me because I don't want to be introduced as a female comedian. But I also think it's important to make the distinction because like the audience needs to know that like I'm not just going to be some dude going up there talking about cheating on his girlfriend like every other fucking, you know what I mean? Like, and, like to the point where I even call male comedians, I don't call them comedians, I call them male comedians so that they can get a taste of what that's like. Like last night I did this fucking showcase and this guy was introducing me. I was like the 11th comic on the list and he's like, "It's been a real sausage fest, so I got a treat for you." And then he goes, "Oh shit, this was a bad intro. Well, welcome Morgan." And I'm like, "Thanks, dude. The one like differentiator is that I don't have a dick. Great. Like, just say that I'm a comedian and just get me on stage." Like, it's such a weird thing, but I don't get it. It's annoying.
Right. It's like in trying to make space for us, they're actually just like isolating us.
Yeah. I'm like, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't make anything else. You couldn't say anything else.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. It's so silly.
Yeah.
What is something that you think might like surprise people about working as a plus size model?
Probably that I'm like the least shy person in the room.
Love that.
Like, it's so funny when a designer is like, oh, like if you want to go to the bathroom and get changed, or, you know, the dressing room's over there. And I'm like, I don't care. I just strip off my clothes.
Yeah.
Like,
are they doing that for all the models?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I'm always the one to be like, I don't care. I'll change right here.
Yeah.
Whereas most models will like go and be a bit more modest. I'm just not a very modest, shy person in that way, you know, because again, I'm so comfortable with my body. There's nothing that I'm like, oh my God, I need to hide, like my big thighs. Like, no, I love my big thighs. They're so strong, you know? But yeah, I think that's like always a shock to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine like it's probably at some point you have to get used to all the people that you're working with anyway. So it's like,
Totally.
oh, you're going to see my butt? Oh, no.
Yeah. And I'm like, I've been in less on the runway, you know,
Oh,
that it's like, who
yeah.
cares if I'm in a thong and my bra back here? Or
Yeah.
sometimes I usually don't wear a bra, to be honest.
Hell yeah.
It's
I love
just
that.
like
What's like your favorite type of outfit or garment to model?
anything by Bête Noire.
Yeah.
I love that designer in general. I'm really lucky that I tend to get picked by people who are picking me for my whole look. They
That's
like my
awesome.
aesthetic. They like my personal style. They like that I'm more alternative, and that's what they're choosing, not just my body.
Mm-hmm.
And so especially like Bête Noire, her entire brand ethos is the beauty in the darkness.
Cool.
And so to be able to be a more dark aesthetic person and just wear things that make me feel like myself, that make me feel just like so elegant and elevated and edgy. Or like one of the other designers I'm walking for next week for Streetwear Night. It's Flash and Rose, and her designs are inspired by like flash tattoos.
Ooh,
They're like
cool.
painted garments. And so
Wow.
it's again that like edgy look. Like I asked her, I was like, hey, do you mind if I shave my eyebrows? Like I really want to do this like point look that you see right now. And she was like, literally, your style is my entire collection.
Yes.
Like I am booking you for you. If you want to look even edgier, that only helps me. Like, hell yeah, do it. And I was like, sick.
I bet that's such a cool feeling.
It really is. Because a lot of models, especially like when you're signed to an agency, like you're kind of forced to stick into a mold and you can't change your look without permission. You know, like a lot of castings like will literally specifically say like no tattoos, like no piercings, like whatever. And I get to come in and be like, I get to play with my look. I get to look edgy. I get to, you know, be more fun. Because I already was that way, you know, like no one can stop me from keep going.
Perfect.
Like even having because I do have an agent, and she sends me for the alternative casting stuff, you know, like she's like, they're specifically looking for more alternative aesthetic in this. And I'm like, great, sign me up. I'm glad that we're at a place now in the industry where that can be embraced. There's this model, she goes by May, I want to say. She's not local, but you maybe have seen her. She's like really beautiful Asian woman with a like completely shaved head and symmetrical tattoos.
Oh, cool.
And she's so cool. She's like a really incredible makeup artist too, but she just got signed to like a massive international agency. And it is so cool to see that because in the past, you know, if you even had like a tiny little tattoo, you had to cover it.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're thinking about top model and stuff, like they didn't have
God.
any body modifications, you know? So it's really cool that we're at a place in society where that's now celebrated and wanted.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really want to hear about this kind of like alternative style that you have and like where it came from.
Yeah.
Because it makes me think about like, I don't know how old you are. Like I'm a 90s baby too, but like back in the day, like Hot Topic was kind of like the place to go if you were an alt kid. And now like I go into Hot Topic now and I'm like,
tragic.
this is a different place, although some of it is still cute. I was on a shoot the other day where they bought me like some Hot Topic stuff because my character was this very like, I always get calls to be the lesbian girlfriend, which I love. Like I don't know why that's like my typecast that I get a lot. But I'd love to hear about like how you came to this personal style and like what it means to you, because it's so unique and it's so cool.
So growing up, I started going to concerts very young. By the time I was in 6th grade, my mom was tired of taking me to all the shows that I wanted to go to. And so she started letting me go by myself.
Oh my God. That's so cool.
Yeah. So the rule was basically I could go to as many shows as I wanted as long as I was paying for them myself because I worked.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't missing school the next day. I wasn't oversleeping, and my grades weren't slipping.
Nice.
And so I was going to like sometimes like 3 shows a week, like metal shows, emo shows, like pop punk shows. And so I just like I had that love for like, you know, like the more dark vibe very early. Obviously, I was a Tumblr baby, Tumblr kid.
Yes.
You know, you had the dark aesthetics. I even had like the Jeffrey Campbell Lita Spike 2s, which were the fully spiked ones.
Yes.
I still have them.
Holy cow, that's crazy.
I'm glad they're coming back because I love those shoes.
Yes, they are coming back. They really are.
But yeah, I was a little scene kid. And luckily my mom was really down to let me be in that aesthetic and that space of interest, you know, like she loved like rock. Like she was kind of like that rebel kid who loved rock, who loved like goth music. Like she introduced me to like The Cure, the Rolling Stones, etc.
Cool.
But so she started taking me shopping. I'm from Philly.
Oh, cool.
And so in Philly, we have a place called South Street, which, especially when I was younger, was like the kind of like punk area of town. And there was a store, it used to be called Zipperhead. And it was like on South Street proper. And it even was so cool. It had like this like, building that was like unzipping with like ants crawling out of it.
Oh, cool.
And then they downsized into a store called Crash Bang Boom that's on, I think, 4th and South. And it's like a mom and pop shop. It's owned by this woman, Stephanie, who is such an icon. She literally like taught me how to dye my hair the perfect color when I was a kid. Because I started dyeing my hair like fashion colors and stuff when I was in 4th grade. And I wanted this like specific red that I wanted it to fade a certain way. And so she taught me like how to mix these 2 different reds because the one had an orange base and one had a pink base to get the perfect red that I wanted. And, you know, I bought my 8th grade graduation outfit there. Actually, the dress was from Hot Topic. Speaking of Hot Topic.
Yes.
But the shoes were from her, like the accessories and stuff. She just was such like a core person in my like early fashion, I guess. And I definitely shopped at Hot Topic until I couldn't fit into things, which was very early on. And so I kind of had to get creative. But so I kind of hit a point in my size where the style that I wanted to be in was no longer accessible to me. So when I was into like high school and early college, that was the time where Torrid was in its peak of florals and cold shoulders and like polyester fabrics that you just feel so uncomfortable in. And it was really hard. I kind of had this period of time where I just felt like I no longer was myself, because I just had to wear whatever fit me and whatever I could afford, right? Because I also couldn't afford clothes, and like thrifting wasn't really an option yet because just you have to think about the life cycle of fashion and clothing, and we just like didn't have plus sizes in thrift stores yet. Either the thrift stores chose to not stock them, or it just wasn't there yet, right? And so when I moved, I guess before I moved here, when I was living in Philly still, I started to kind of find my way back to my alternative aesthetic again. Especially I used to be a chemist. And so while I was a chemist, it was really hard for me. Yeah.
That's cool.
I've lived many lives.
So random. Yeah.
But it was really hard for me. I had to kind of be normal. And even in my most normal I could possibly be, I was still the black sheep in every lab I was in, but I tried really hard to fit in. But once I was out of that, I could really just dive back into being a more alternative person and aesthetic. And, you know, I had adult money. And then when I moved here was actually when I really started to find thrift stores that had things that fit me. I don't know what it was about Philly, but everything stopped at like a size like 12.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
It was really annoying.
And of all places, Colorado, to have the
it is so much more accessible here. It's insane. Like my entire outfit's thrifted.
Oh, I love
Like
that.
my skirt's thrifted, my top's thrifted, my top underneath is thrifted, even some of my accessories, most of them.
That's awesome.
I'm very much so a thrifted baddie.
I love thrifting.
It's the
I got
best.
these pants at a thrift store and I was like, these are the weirdest things I've ever seen. I want them.
Yeah. I mean, I think that thrifting is the way to find your personal style.
Yes. Agreed.
Because you're no longer being told by the fashion industry what to like. You're being tasked with questioning what you like yourself and just picking things out and curating on your own. And so I feel like my style really started to come into its own when I was able to finally start really, really thrifting and getting, the pieces that, called to me.
Yeah.
My favorite thrift store, which I'm going to gatekeep, I'm really sorry.
I was gonna ask you like, where do you like to go? Because I'm like a Goodwill ARC person.
I'll tell you off the mic.
Okay, perfect.
But I'll say that my favorite thrift store is organized by clothing type and color instead of by size.
Oh, okay.
And so that's really powerful because you can just go to like the sections that call for you. Like I have a very strict curation of color in my wardrobe.
Yes.
But also garments, size is so irrelevant to what actually fits your body. Labels mean nothing, especially in secondhand clothing, because obviously clothing stretches, it changes, it wears over time.
How old is it?
Right.
Yeah.
So like I literally have a skirt from Anthropologie that's like a size medium. I haven't never been a size medium in my life.
Yeah.
You know, but it fits and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And it looks good. It feels good. And so shopping in that way, like, cause when you go into a normal thrift store and it's organized by size, you're naturally going to go to your size section. Right. And maybe you're going to go plus or minus one on either side. For me, it's really just minus cause I am usually in the biggest section out of that kind of store.
Yeah.
But like, for me, as someone who generally wears like a 2X18, to go to like the size medium section, I would get looked at funny. Like, why are you shopping there? Versus when it's just, here's the black section and go through every single garment. You know, you're kind of more free without judgment.
Does it make it harder to find stuff that fits you like that though? Because then for me, I feel like I'd get frustrated because I'd be like, oh, this is so cute, but it's not my size.
I mean, that's gotta happen, you know? But you're going to find the things that are your size too, you know? And sometimes it might be your size. And at first you're like, would I wear that? And then you kind of think about like, okay, how would I style this? Like, you know, can it work? There's tons of things that I leave behind. And there's tons of things that I've bought that I don't think I ever would have considered on the shelf on the rack at a normal store.
Right.
You know?
That part is so true because... Sorry, I don't mean to like point at you.
That's okay.
I'm so weird with my hands. It's so true because when you go to like I am like a discount. Like I shop at like Marshall's. Yeah. And I try not to because I would rather go thrifting. But if I need something specific, like I'm like, oh, I need a certain sports bra or whatever. I'll go to those stores. And then I'm like, everything here is like telling me that like I need to wear like the floral stuff, the whatever. And I'm like, I can't tell if it's cute. Whereas when you go to like a thrift store and you're kind of bombarded with like a range of styles, a range of years past, like you could find vintage stuff there. You could find stuff that's from Shein. You know what I mean? It's like, you really have to actually take a second and be like, do I like this because it's the only one here and it's the only one that I've seen and it's the only thing? Or is it because it's hanging on a rack with 50 other of the same shirts and sizes? Yeah. I love thrifting. I used to hate it. I used to think it was gross.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know why. I was one of those people that was like, this is so gross. And then I was like, oh, I own a washing machine. What the fuck? Like, I don't know why I thought that.
I own a sewing machine too. Like I have this skirt that it started as a fugly dress.
Oh, really?
It was horrendous, but I saw the potential in it and it was cheap enough that I could take a chance on it. And it's not one of my favorite skirts. Like I chopped off the top of it, you know, put in a waistband. Cool. And it's so, I don't know if you saw, the like, kind of like Virgin Mary shoot that I just did.
I think so, yeah.
But there was like this like ruched skirt that I was wearing. It's that.
Oh my gosh,
so that was originally a really ugly really ugly dress.
That is such a good, having sewing skills is so important.
Yeah. A little thrift flip goes a long way.
That's so funny. I bought a sewing machine last year and like the only thing I've been able to do is like hem a dress or like hem something. I'm working on I want to insert a waistband on something I have because it's too like, it doesn't like, it's too long, and I want to shorten it and then put a waistband in it, but I have to figure out, I don't know how to do it.
It's not as hard as you think, you know, and it just takes sitting down and trying, and maybe you try a couple times, and you know, that's the beauty of it. You can undo it and redo it. You know, obviously you can't cut twice.
Right.
Well, you can't add back fabric if you cut something wrong. But as far as sewing goes, just take out the thread and try it again, you know?
Yes.
And there's so many free resources, both in education and in material. Like most of my sewing stuff is free. I literally like went to excuse me. Sorry.
You're good.
I went to an estate sale and got a free sewing machine, a whole like bag of free fabrics, of sewing needles.
They weren't selling it?
Elastic. No, they just gave it to me all for free.
Oh, nice.
Thread, bobbins, like all the things that you can need. Like the only thing I've really bought was like a pair of shears, and like the rotary cutter.
Oh, yeah, because you need like good tools. Yeah.
Yeah, but most of my stuff, like 99% of my sewing stuff came for free.
Yes.
People I have a big bag of fabric I have to sort through right now. That was a friend who just was like, I just need to get rid of some fabric. Like, come pick out what you want. And I was like, cool, great.
I love
like,
that.
You know.
I get all my sewing stuff from thrift stores. I'll like buy those big ass like tangled bags of thread and stuff, and there'll be like old ass zippers in there. I'm like, I don't know when I'll use this, but maybe I will.
There's so much fabric at thrift stores.
It's
all of
crazy.
Those curtains, all the blankets, that is all really cheap fabric.
Yes.
You
for
know?
Christmas, I made tote bags for everyone out of like old curtains for my family, because I was like, I would rather sit and like sew a tote bag out of like a cool vintage curtain than like go buy them something that I know they're not gonna want.
The lace headpiece in that shoot that I just referenced was a pair of valance curtains that I found at the thrift, and then I just safety pinned them together.
That's so
I didn't even
cool.
sew them. Just do safety pins.
That. Oh, fashion, man. Fashion and like recycling.
Yeah, it's not as
sustainable
complicated as
fashion.
people think. It just takes creativity, you know,
And
have
patience.
a vision and creativity.
Yes.
Vision will take you far, you know, like the amount of times I've like put a necklace on my hip as a waist chain, or the opposite, put a waist chain on my neck as a necklace. I'm constantly like, these are literally giant safety pins that
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. So I found both of these at a consignment shop.
Oh my god.
And then I went to Home Depot and I had them cut me chain, and it's literally just a
that is
Home
so
Depot
cool.
special.
Holy crap. I've never seen safety pins that big. That's so funny.
And I have another one that's like a horse snaffle bit that I again just took to Home Depot, cut some chain, and turned into a belt.
That's fucking dope.
Like sometimes the DIY is, because it's also the most unique stuff, you know. Like one thing about my style, you know, okay, so now that there's like this rise of alternative fashion again, what that has done for the plus size community is it has created a lot of access that didn't exist before, right? So there's brands now that are specifically alternative brands that are making plus size clothing, and that's phenomenal, and I'm so happy that that's happening, but I don't like to look like everybody else. And so I have a few pieces that I, get from these larger brands, and figure out how to make them uniquely my own. But I still love finding the regular pieces and turning them alternative, figuring out how to make that work. Right. So like I have this button down, like short sleeve shirt that I found that's very like almost like a Western style. Like it has like these like sharp points that it comes to on the front. Nice collar, and I went in and I studded it, put some, spikes on it, some chain on it, and I took out all of the buttons and turned it into like chains connecting from where the button should be to the buttonhole. And it's so cute and fun, and no one else has it.
Yeah, no one else is gonna have that.
Yeah,
and then they're gonna be like, "Where'd you get that?" And you're gonna be like, "I made it."
Yeah, I do that all the time. My belts, people are always so annoyed when I'm like, "Sorry."
Oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh. Oh, I want to be your friend.
You can be. We're friends now.
I'm literally like, okay, so when are we going thrifting? What are we doing?
Yeah, I'll tell you off camera.
I have a feeling I know what place it is, but
maybe because there's 3 of them, but only one's the good one.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think okay. Well, I wanted to play. I guess this isn't really a game. I've been like trying to do little like segments on the pod, and so this one I have dubbed compliment confessions, which might sound super fucking cheesy. I'm sure someone's gonna be like, you should change the name of that, Morgan. But I think compliments are such an interesting like way of communicating, because sometimes they can be really triggering. Sometimes they can be really exciting depending on who they're coming from as well. So I want to ask you a series of questions regarding some compliments that you have gotten in your life.
Yeah.
So the first question I'm going to ask is, what is the weirdest compliment you've ever gotten?
I kind of mentioned this one before, but when people compliment my head shape, that was the first time it happened, but that's not the last time it happened. I get that a lot.
It is a good head shape. Like, I don't know what it is about it, because I don't know what the shapes are. Like, I don't know what a lot of heads are supposed to look like, but it is like a good head shape.
Yeah, my little peanut head.
I love that for you. I love that. I bet that's such a funny thing to get, especially after like the first time probably shaving your head, because it is like, oh, I don't even know what I really look like. Like, I don't know what this part of my body looks like without hair attached to it.
Yeah, and I was somebody who my whole life, my hair was down to my butt. Like, cutting my hair was always a ordeal, you know? And then I had, during the pandemic, obviously I couldn't get my hair cut anymore. And I had been joking about shaving my head for years. And I finally realized that I was serious, but it was the dead of winter in Philly, and I was like, ain't no way, I'm gonna die. So I like chopped it short meaning to like to here, and I shaved an undercut to try and like stop myself. And then that still wasn't enough, so then I dyed my whole head, because I had never dyed my whole head before. I'd always done like accents of color. So I dyed the whole thing like a flame, like dark red down to yellow. Cool. And then when it was time to redo my roots, I was like, F this, and I just shaved it all off. And it was freezing cold. Best decision ever, but it was freezing cold. And it took like 2 years probably for my skin to acclimate to temperature.
Oh yeah,
because it's baby skin.
Yeah. Wow, that's so. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it was so really weird. Like anything would touch it, and it would feel like this like crazy like sensitive sensation.
That's almost like build up, not like a callus, but like a like a defense. Interesting. Okay. What's your favorite compliment that you've ever gotten?
So I'm currently dating somebody, and I had brought this up to them. So first of all, they messaged me the other day, and they were like, my therapist loves you. And I was like, that is the best compliment I've ever heard. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So that something is very validating about like a professional being like, this is a good person,
especially because it reflects on the way that they talk about you in therapy. Yeah.
But then they also sent me a really, really sweet like video message, just like all of the things that they loved about me. And I was just like,
oh my gosh.
I'm like, I'll remember this for the rest of my life. It's fine.
Is it like a relatively new partnership?
Yeah, we've only been dating for like a month.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We've known each other for longer, but yeah.
It's like so that honeymoon phase where you're like, oh my God, they like me. Yes, that's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, it's very cute.
Oh, I love that. Therapist. That's what I need. I need someone's therapist to say the thing.
Yeah, I was like, that's like the biggest, sign of approval.
Yes. Meanwhile, my therapist is like, I think you should be single for a while, Morgan. You need to calm down. What's a compliment that you've received that you'll never forget?
Probably that video. But also, I think about this one in like not as much of a positive light. I think about all of the compliments that I've gotten that make me sad.
Yes.
Because so I do have, even though I'm plus size, I have a very like ideal body type for a plus size person. Right? Like I have the small waist, the big hips.
Yeah. The like quote unquote preferred proportions.
Right.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of compliments that have to do with that. And they make me really defensive and sad, because I'm just like, you don't realize that in the way that you're speaking to me, you're putting down the rest of my community.
Yeah.
You're putting down the people who have, maybe a more round body shape, don't have that defined waist, and like they're still just as beautiful, and they're still just as valid and are worthy of respect and adoration. And in the way you're complimenting me right now, you are taking away from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I remember those a lot, especially like in the modeling setting. Like I'll have designers who maybe during a fitting, like they'll make a passing comment about how I have just like the most perfect proportions for whatever. Yeah. And I'm just like, thank you, but also no thank you.
Yeah, but also shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I'm like, because you never want to seem like ungrateful, but I'm also just like, yeah,
No, it
like,
is interesting because it's almost like a backhanded
right.
thing. It's like, wow, you're so lucky that you look like this, even though you're plus size. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. It's like, they just put down everybody else in trying to lift me up, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's a really good point. I think compliments like that are very hard to forget because it is kind of like, I can't tell if you're complimenting me or if you're just trying to say something nice because you can't think of anything else to say. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's like your prejudice is showing in your
Yes.
compliment.
Yes.
Like I know how you really feel about plus size people in what you're saying to me.
Yeah. It's the same thing as like being like, "Oh, you're funny for a girl."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, I normally hate female comedians, but you're funny."
Oh my God, you're actually funny.
Sorry, fuck you. What the fuck does that mean? Oh my God. I could go off on that shit. It makes me so angry. Okay, what's your favorite compliment to give? Or maybe like what's your favorite type of compliment to give?
I love to compliment people's energies, their character.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, like I think that compliments about appearance are so surface level and really like, that's why some of them aren't so memorable,
Yeah.
But when someone tells you that you have a beautiful energy, that, they felt your light when you entered into a room, that's just going to hit you so much different.
Yeah.
And make you, it'll leave a lasting positive impression on you versus just in that moment. And then you walk away and you forget about it.
One. Yes. Yeah. Energy, aura. Like you have a good aura.
Yeah. Your intelligence, your character, I could tell that you're a good person, that you care about others. Like those are things that I think mean more to somebody.
Hell yeah. I love that. Yeah. Oh, those are good compliments. Okay, last one. If you could give your younger self a compliment, what do you think it would be?
That I see your heart. I see how much you care for others and love others, and to never let that fade away, and to try not to lose yourself in that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so hard to think about like how you would talk to your younger self because it's, I don't know, sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, I feel like I'd be scared to like talk to my younger self because I wouldn't want to say something that would upset her because she was just a little scared baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I don't think I was a very scared child necessarily. I was always very powerful, very outspoken.
Awesome. I mean, yeah, you were like going to rock concerts when you were like, what, 12?
Yeah, I was a baby.
That's nuts.
I'm so grateful for that in so many ways, though. Like it really, so this is a total side tangent, but where, a lot of teenagers, right, they're going to their first concert, they're pressured into pre-gaming, they're partying. There's like this association between going to concerts and drinking or doing drugs or what have you. I didn't have that because I started so young that I was not influenced by like substance culture, party culture yet. And by the time I got to high school and people were going to their first shows and they were going and pre-gaming and getting drunk and smoking weed and whatever, I had already had my routine that I liked and that I felt comfortable in, and I didn't want to be influenced. I didn't want to introduce an external influence that was an unknown factor that risked ruining my good time. And so I never really started partying. And that, I mean, really continued into like college too. Like I never got into substances like most people would. So like I don't drink now, right? And people are always like, oh, like when did you quit? Like, when did you get sober? And I was like, I never really started. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've been drunk in my life.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that was because of how young I started going to shows and started learning how to have fun without the substances.
It's almost like if you give kids independence and freedom when they're young, they learn how to self-regulate.
Yes.
And they don't go fucking crazy when they get older. What a weird
that
concept.
Yeah.
What a weird concept. I love that so much. Yeah. Well, I am very honored to have you here today, and I'm very excited that this was your like first pod.
I'm honored to be here. This was so much
cool.
fun.
I love when that happens because I've been on a few podcasts and it's always different, right? It's like you're, I don't know, sitting around and like a lot of the times it's like, male comedians for me. And I'm just like, okay, great. We're going to talk about comedy. Like, I'm like, no, come to my house. It's like a girly little corner.
I know, this is literally
my
so
cat's
cute.
here. I have a candle on. Like, I'm like, yes, this is like the pod culture.
Right. It
that I
literally,
want.
when you messaged me, I was just like, I said yes so fast because I was just like, this is like exactly the conversation that I have all the time with people.
Yes.
Like it's a topic or multiple topics that I just like feel so deeply, have experienced so deeply, believe in speaking out into the world. And so I was just like, yes, 100%.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank
I'm very
you.
excited for you to be in like Denver Fashion Week and I'm like excited to watch your career and where you go.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Another question I have for you just before we hop off. So you do nail art.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just for yourself? Do you sell? Are you available for bookings? What's the situation?
So, I used to be a chemist.
Yes.
And I had started my jewelry career while I was in school for chemistry to pay for my degree. And then I became a full-time jeweler. And then I actually had some health stuff. I have MS, but at the time I didn't know what was going on, and I was just like, my limb is paralyzed. I'm fainting.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my
I'm
goodness.
just going through it.
Yeah.
And so I actually had to step away from my jewelry career in order to, figure my shit out and like survive and cope. I was literally in acupuncture twice a week, every week, just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And because it was my sole source of income, I started to really, really resent my art. I really struggled. I can see in my art where I was clearly in pain and resentful and didn't want to be doing it anymore. And so I had to step away. And that's how I got into marketing, because people saw what I had done for myself and wanted me to do it for them. But so when I started doing my nails, I had started getting my nails done. We'll start there. Because my hands were in so many photos, taking photos of my jewelry.
Yes.
And they also kind of were like a good like tool for me in my jewelry making. And I noticed I am so obsessive that I felt annoying in my appointments because I was so nitpicky with my nail techs, and I just like knew that I could do better. Not to be that person, but I could do better.
But yeah, sometimes you just know.
Yeah, and because I was a jeweler, I already had the most expensive piece of equipment, which is like your e-file. It's actually called a micromotor.
The like drill kind of. Okay,
yeah. So I already owned that, you know, and that's really the biggest investment to doing doing nails. So I had already done that. So I was like, okay, I'm just and I also just like couldn't afford to keep, spending hundreds of dollars on my nails. And so I started doing them myself. And I don't do them for other people. And that is because my nail art to me was a way to reclaim my creativity after I had commodified my creativity for so long. I had monetized every single, like, I don't even own a piece of my own jewelry because every single thing that I made was sold. Everything went to somebody else.
Okay.
And so for me, my nails is just something that is for me and only me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which people are always like, oh, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, like it's just, and also like I take so long to do them that like I'd have to charge so much to make it worth it. Like, it's just not something that I felt, because I can monetize anything that I do, right? Like, and because I know that about myself, I know that I have to be stern in saying no to this.
Yeah, it's not fun anymore.
Right.
When it's like, we live in this like weird culture now where it's like if you have a hobby, it's like you should be posting about it, you should be monetizing it, but it's like, why can't it just be for you?
Right. Yeah. I usually don't post my nails until after I've already taken off that set.
Oh, nice.
Like it's something that is for me in that moment. Like that I get to enjoy it first. I get to have people react to it in person first, because that's something that's really difficult about being like an online presence. Is when you share so much of yourself that when people meet you for the first time or they just see you and like you want to catch up and have a normal conversation, they already know everything. And there's nothing that you can say or show them that's new. And so being able to show people my nails, knowing that they're seeing it before the online world sees it, is like a fun little thing that just, it's like for me and my personal life before it's for online. So like nobody's seen these ones online yet, right?
Oh, that's
Besides
so
just like maybe like in a
cool.
story when I'm talking.
Yeah.
I usually just wait until after to share.
Oh, that's such a cool skill to have. I love that so much. Nails are so difficult. Like the amount of patience and the like control over just like holding a tiny little paintbrush or anything, I can't even imagine. That's incredible.
I love like fine motor skill things, repetitive things. Even my chemistry career, I was an analytical chemist, which is a lot of like really, really tiny sample preps, repetitive. Like maybe you're prepping like 100 of these, like, you're doing things on like a microliter scale. Love it. I've just always loved the tiny details.
Do you have those big
things.
glasses, the like magnifying glasses to look at, or do you use a magnifying glass
ever? No, I have like insanely good vision. Like what most people would have to be 20 feet away to see, I can see from doubly far away.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I've just always, I didn't know that was weird until I like my doctor when I like years ago was checking my eyesight and he was like, let me see something. And he was like, can you just walk as far away as you can?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And he's like, can you read that? I was like, yeah, I can still read it. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I love those big glasses that like people who make little like model trains and shit. I don't know why that shit's so funny to me. It's so cute. My mom has them because she uses like she'll buy like old vintage jewelry, like costume jewelry, and she'll make like mermaids and like turtles out of them.
Cute.
So she sits at her little desk and she has these giant ass glasses and it's the funniest thing ever.
That's adorable.
I love it.
One thing I will mention is that while no, you cannot get my nails, I haven't made jewelry in 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And I'm changing that this year.
Yay.
It will look different. It's not going to be the same style of jewelry, the same construction method. I'm actually going to be moving into more of a designing position.
Cool.
And having things produced versus everything before was completely handmade.
Nice.
But I am coming out with a new jewelry brand.
How exciting.
Yes. I try not to talk about it too much because it's one of those things I should probably move in silence about. But I'm
honestly,
working towards it.
It's exciting. Like you should feel proud of that. Like coming out of a break from something is really hard sometimes. Yeah. So like good for you for talking about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited. And I'm excited because everything's going to be so much more accessible. My price point before was like $200 to $5,000.
Because it's handmade.
Yeah. Versus now it's like everything's going to be in stainless steel. I'm trying to keep things like, sub $100.
Nice.
Maybe, some like $30 pieces, $50 pieces, things that are just accessible because there's so many people who've wanted to be able to support me for so long and just could never afford it. And I was always like, look, like I couldn't afford my jewelry either. That's why I don't own any of it.
Right.
I could not afford to keep it, you know? Like if it was, oh, this could pay for my rent or I could keep it. I'm going to pay for my rent, you know? So I'm excited to be able to create something that's more accessible to everybody, but still is authentically me and my style.
Yes. And, well, I'll be one of your first customers.
Oh, thank you.
I'll be on there. I'll be in it.
Yay.
Oh, thank you so much for being here,
Thank
Sage.
you.
This was such a good episode.
Yeah,
I had so much fun.
I did
you
too.
have such good energy.
So do you.
Like so fun. Where can everyone find you? Before I'll have you sign my affirmation board.
I have not. Okay.
But while I'm getting this out of the fucking corner, where can everyone find you?
I'm Sage Storm Designs on everything, pretty much. Instagram, TikTok, Sage Storm on Facebook.
Love it.
Twitter, Threads. I don't actually use my Twitter, really.
As you should not.
Yeah.
Fuck that platform.
I'm just saying I have all the things. Blue Sky, like whatever.
Sky.
But really what I'm actually posting on is my Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is where you're going to get the most from me. And then TikTok's kind of like my secondary, which you wouldn't, based on followers, you'd think that I use TikTok more, but
TikTok is weird.
TikTok's fake.
I know. I'm like, I post on it because I have to, but I'm like, I don't really like this. I don't really like this place anymore.
Yeah. It's a weird place.
It's a weird place.
It has its purpose.
Exactly.
But Instagram is where like my core community that I've built is, because I've been on Instagram for so many years, you know. And I'm really lucky that I have this really beautiful community that has just followed me through so many changes in life, and they just ride for me and you know whatever I'm doing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
I've been really lucky that I've gotten to like travel the country and meet so many people over the years too. So it's not just to me, like, you know, I think people look at like a following on social media and they're like, oh, like it's just a bunch of strangers who, and I'm like, no, like these are like my friends. These are my family. Like these are people who I've connected with over a decade, you know? Some of them maybe I haven't met, but I feel like I know them, you know? Cool. And it's not like parasocial in that it's one way, you know?
Yes.
Because that can be a thing. This is so much more mutual. Like I care about you just as much as you care about me.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm very grateful for that.
Well, in front of you, you have the My Body, My Affirmations board. And yes, the camera loves it, and it's getting quite full, but I love to have everyone just choose a marker and sign whatever their favorite affirmation is. It doesn't have to like be specifically to your body or anything, but it's just like a fun way to kind of commemorate everyone that's been on the pod, and then also like collect some funny quotes because some of them are really silly.
So cute.
Yeah.
Do I do this now or do
it? Okay. Go ahead and do it now, and then tell us what you write down. I'll just blab while you're writing. If you would like to support My Body, My Jokes, you're doing it right now by listening. But also, please feel free to leave a 4 or 5-star review on Spotify, Apple, all of the things. It always helps me to get the message out there, and I'm hoping that the more people that listen, the more people can, you know, helpfully learn to love themselves and find body positivity and food freedom and all of the things. So leave a comment, leave a like, anything that you can. Send this podcast to someone you think that might like it. I'm coming up on, almost a year of the pod in like July. So thank you. So hopefully by then I will feel more settled in it. Honestly, it's been a journey, but thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. It's a small show, but it is a mighty show. And especially now that I'm producing it 100% on my own, it is kind of a passion project of mine. Other than that, I have some fun dance shows coming up, and hopefully if my auditions go well, maybe some other dance shows. We'll see what happens. Other comedy shows, they're always on, you know, my Instagram, my TikTok, all of the things. But if you're not in Denver, just listen to the pod. That's the best way to reach me. But thank you for listening. And Sage will tell us what she wrote.
Okay. I said, you are worthy. You are a light in this world. You are meant to be here contributing to the collective.
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh my gosh. That's like a very like deep one. I like it.
It was what came to mind first.
Yes. So. Oh, perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here, Sage. Is there anything else you want to plug before we hop off?
No.
Perfect.
I think we're good to go.
Well, I will have your handle and all of your things in the show notes of the episode. But please follow Sage, check her out. And hopefully Denver Fashion Week goes swimmingly. I bet it will.
Thank you.
It's
I'm very excited.
Awesome. Yes.
I know. I didn't even mention I'm nominated for Alt Model of the Year.
Cool.
So we find out the
Congrats.
winner during the streetwear night. Thank you.
Oh, really? You find out like during after the show?
Like during it, they're announcing the winner.
Oh my God. That's so nerve-wracking.
Just gonna be like, if it's me, cool. If it's one of the other people, everyone's so talented. Yeah. So like really I'm happy with it being anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm excited.
Well, I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to My Body, My Jokes. Please be advised that the information provided in this podcast is for general discussion purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Always, always, always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare professional with any concerns you might have regarding the topics discussed in today's episode. Also, if you or someone you know is struggling with an eating disorder, please call the National Eating Disorders Association helpline at 1-800-931-2237. Bye.